Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Griffin.
Here.
Bishop. Conwell. Gray. Hairston. Harsh. House Jones. Jones. Casey. Kelly. Moorer. McCormack. Polensik. Santana. Slife. Spencer. Starr. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Will everyone rise for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll make the following statement to start this meeting off. This meeting of Cleveland City Council is a lawful meeting under Section 605.04 of the Codified Ordinances. No person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any act which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public are invited to speak only under the rules set by this council. Disruptions, including but not limited to speaking out of turn and making loud noises and loud utterances, are in violation of the rules and interfere with the due conduct of this lawful meeting. Such disruptions may constitute a misdemeanor in violation of Section 605.04. Anyone who disrupts this lawful meeting is in violation of the codified ordinances, commits misdemeanors, and is subject to prosecution. The following is the first and only warning. If this meeting is disrupted, I will gavel a halt to the proceedings and direct the assembled officers to escort any person participating in the disruption out of the chamber. Once persons participating in the disruption are out of the chamber, the officers will close the doors, and the disruptors will be handled as directed by the Director of Public Safety. The council proceedings will not begin again until those that participated in the disruption have left the chamber and the chamber doors are locked or the chamber doors are closed. Disruptors will not be allowed back in the chambers after the meeting resumes. Again, this is the first and only warning. Madam Clerk, please dispense with the journal.
By Councilmember Casey, that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting be dispensed with the journal approved, seconded by Councilmember Hairston.
Thank you. We'll now move to public comment. And first up for public comment, we have Reverend Pamela Pinckney from Cleveland. She's here to talk about overcoming, and she's representing global engagement, dissolving violence against women and children, and not being paid by anyone. Reverend Pinckney, please acknowledge your time.
We have overcome. We have overcome. We have overcome today. Oh, deep in our hearts, we have lived to see that we have overcome today. Jesus said, "Great works have I done, greater shall ye do." Today, the Holy Ghost says, I'm going to work a miracle through you. When I awaken to this brand new day, this is what the Holy Ghost had to say. Your life I decided to save, the sting of death and victory over the grave. I overcame that. Your rape, your abuse, your rejection, your self-hatred of you. I overcame that too. Your fear of the unknown, reaping the negativity that you have sown. I overcame that. Now, this is what I require of you. Pray someone else through. Someone needs a word of hope. Someone needs to know about my overcoming power right now, this minute, this second, this very hour. Whatever their struggle or temptation may be, remember to lead them to me. It is by grace and mercy that we speak today. No matter what the obstacles may be, open your eyes, ears, heart, mind to see. No matter what comes your way this day, always say, I overcame that. In this room today, we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the you and the word of our testimony. And one of the other obstacles that we must overcome is the racism and the racial disparity in policing. I have requested that the interim safety director be the permanent safety director, and we consider and allow him to operate in the full authority of the safety director, because it is not fair that a black man gets an interim title, but a white person gets a permanent title. It is time to end the racial disparity in the city of Cleveland, in the United States of America, and Cuyahoga County. Missing, dead, and exploited and overlooked bodies of people of color, it's time to overcome that.
Thank
I
you.
have given you also an initiative to help people meet their needs. This is the book that I have authored and published in Cleveland Public Library, my hometown. It's called Choose Life. Help people know to choose life, to overcome every obstacle, but we must do it fairly. We must do it with reasonable accommodations, and we must be fair in leadership. Don't give a black man a temporary title and use him and then say that when you're tired of him, that you don't need him anymore.
Time.
Give him the full authority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Overcome.
Thank you. Next, we have Sabrina Otis from Cleveland. Ms. Otis is here to talk about building and housing. She is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Ms. Otis, you have the floor.
Good evening. I have a couple things I want to talk about. First, the parking garage. If you're in there for 8 minutes, it's $4. Online, it says $3.50 for 15 minutes. I need y'all to fix that because I'm not paying y'all $4 for 8 minutes. That's ridiculous. And most parking garages let people park up to an hour for free before they charge. Anyway, I thought I'd put that out there. Next, I want to talk about the traffic engineering and your sidewalk bureau. They're giving out these signs that say, don't block driveways. If you drive through the city, most of the signage are at properties that don't have driveways. They just got them randomly posted. I need y'all to fix that because it's annoying me. It makes no sense. Next, I want to talk about housing and building. Well, mostly what you guys passed that I couldn't come in and talk forever. And that's the residents' first legislative packet. I don't know who put it together. You didn't have a renter in your committee. You didn't talk to a renter. And I don't live in an apartment. I'm a renter. Your packet only covers some of the renters in the city. Housing and building only has so much they can do, and your courts definitely don't seem to get that everybody don't live in apartments. I would like for you guys to revisit that whole thing. It's a hot mess. You all felt like it looked good, but as a renter, don't give me that look. As a renter, it looks horrible. It does not fortify any of us. It does not help any of us. It helps a selected few renters and not the whole gamut, because the city of Cleveland has a lot of renters. And lastly, I want to briefly talk about your Community Police Commission. Yeah, no. I voted for it. I had big hopes for it. I don't know how you picking the people, but every time I go on YouTube and look at it, they're arguing with each other. They can't get along. Nobody wants to follow. Everybody wants to lead. It's a hot mess. I'm gonna need y'all to get back in the room and find some other folks to lead that group. And you all have a great day.
Thank you. I usually don't do this, but Ms. Otis, you can park for free on the upper deck. So parking is free, and maybe we might need to reiterate it, but you are able to park on the top deck for free. Okay. All right, we'll make sure we talk with the administration, because that was a fix that we made a while ago, okay? Thank you. All right, next we have Kareem Hinton from Ward 14 to talk about city behavior and police accountability. And he is not representing anyone, and he is not being paid by anyone. Is Mr. Hinton available? Mr. Hinton going once, Mr. Hinton going twice. Mr. Hinton is not here. Next, we have Riley Petro from Ward 17 to talk about environmental consciousness. He's with the Party for Socialism and Liberation in Northeast Ohio, and he is not being paid by anyone.
Today, as many of us know, is Earth Day, and the existential threat of the climate crisis has never been greater. Without drastic and immediate intervention, we will not meet the emissions reductions necessary to avoid breaching the average of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures. This is not a goal that can be met by individuals simply going green. To avoid global catastrophe, there needs to be a profound shift of priorities in our economy and in our government. Cleveland's mayor, Justin Bibb, has fashioned himself an image of being a, quote, climate mayor, including hosting an upcoming climate leadership conference where attendees can pay up to $1,695 to rub shoulders with such climate leaders as PepsiCo, Pacific Gas and Electric, Clorox, and the U.S. Department of Defense, the largest emitter of greenhouse gases on Earth. Mr. Bibb has touted the revival of the Tree Commission as a win for the city to help expand the tree canopy and improve quality of life across the city, and rightly so. But I'm perplexed as to why he has not acted to halt the development project at Cadell Park that would tear down a canopy of fully grown bald cypress trees. If Mr. Bibb is a climate mayor, why is he not protecting the only green space in a neighborhood where 40% of the population lives under the poverty line? While Mr. Bibb has not been moved to rescind support for Israel after the deaths of 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza since October 7th, he should know that the genocide in Gaza has been an environmental disaster. The Guardian wrote in January that the first months of Israel's campaign produced more greenhouse gases than 20 climate-vulnerable nations do in a year. 7.9 million meters of forests, bushes, and agricultural land have been burned, contaminated, and destroyed by white phosphorus. You cannot be a climate mayor and support Israel. Humanity is in a grave crisis. Right now, what we need are leaders, but so far, all we've seen from you, Mr. Bibb, is lip service. Save the planet, save Cadell Park, and free Palestine.
Next, we have Brenda Bickerstaff. Ms. Bickerstaff is from Cleveland. She's here to talk about the Cleveland Police Commission, the McHugh hiring, and then also she is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Ms. Bickerstaff, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank the young lady that spoke about the Cleveland Police Commission. There's two people that we want to be removed. That's Alana Garrett Ferguson, and the other one is Terry Wang, and I brought that to the attention of the administration. We've talked about that. So let's move on with McHugh. I met with McHugh today, myself, Kevin Conwell, and some other individuals. He gave us the story about what occurred over in Washington, D.C. However, for the sake of it, he said the judges and the prosecutors, I want you guys to hear this now, Mr. Bibb and Mr. Griffin, made him do this. The two prosecutors were Casey Weston and Jennifer Kirkloff. He said the judge pressed him too, and the judge looked at the video. Two judges looked at the video and said they saw a gun. It wasn't a gun in that case with those two elderly people. The judge's name is John Bailey, okay? So it was two judges. So what I told Mr. McHugh, what I'm gonna do personally, I'm saying no now, but I'll need 60 days to finish getting the information that I need to make a decision so I can turn it over to the people that's involved with the pastors and everything. If need be, I'm gonna drive to Washington myself, okay? Because I wanna find this out, because if we got some judges and the prosecutors that are telling the police to be corrupt, they need to be called out too and removed from their position. And I'm serious about this, because this is what he indicated, and that's a serious allegation between about a judge and a prosecutor, but we do know there are corrupt judges and prosecutors out here. Once again, I want 60 days from today's date. I'm going to make a record. Today's date is April the 22nd. Give me to June the 22nd to get the information so I can get it to you to see if it's true. And if it need be, I will pack up my own expense and drive to Washington, D.C. myself. And Kevin Conwell know I will do that. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Latanya Goldsby. Latanya Goldsby is from Cleveland. She's here to talk about the Cleveland Police Commission, the McHugh hiring, and then also representing no one, and she's not here. So Latanya is not here. Latanya going once, twice, she's not here. Nope, we have Alicia Kirkman. Alicia Kirkman is not here. Okay. Last but not least, we have Hardaway from Ward 5, and Hardaway is here to talk about hiring a new assistant safety director, and he's not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Hardaway, you have the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The hiring of Philip McHugh, it's out of pocket. 10 years ago, this city, we was heartbroken. Tamir Rice, 138 shots. And in all those instances, it was where officers violated policy and procedure. And 138 shots, they were asked to stop the pursuit, they kept going. Tamir Rice situation, police officers, Timothy Loman, hit a drive-by basically. There's no policy and procedure for that. So we're hiring an assistant safety director that's coming from DC that the DC Police Department had to pay out because he violated people's civil rights. The Fourth Amendment and the Fourth Amendment violation, they paid the settlement, and a basis of negligence charge, which DC paid a settlement. We can't afford this. Again, we're under consent decree since 2015. This is a bad look. He could have been put anywhere else, Mayor Bibb, but we put him in assistant position to police the police, and he's violating procedures. That's not on us to figure out what he did with judges and prosecutors, because again, that says about the man. If the judge and the prosecutor can force you to be crooked, we don't want you here. We don't want you here. So what I'm gonna say is, make it right, or next November, you're gonna hear the people's voice. Make it right.
Madam Clerk, please share communications.
Resolutions of condolence by Councilmember Gray for Elizabeth Carroll Walker, by Councilmember Moorer for Marcella Marcy B. Shannon.
Are there any condolence resolutions?
That was what I read,
Okay.
because we didn't have any
We
other.
didn't have any communications. Are there any other condolences? Councilwoman Santana, Councilwoman House Jones. Can we make sure that Councilwoman Santana's microphone is on?
Thank you, Council President. Can you hold out a number for Gilmari Lopez? And that was that young lady that was just passed away today with that car accident.
Sorry to hear that. Please hold out a number.
So no.
And Councilwoman House Jones. Could please, Councilwoman House Jones?
Thank you. Please hold out a number for Clark Nelson, as well as Deja Thaxton, who are actually cousins.
So noted.
Thank you. Councilman Harrison? Thank you. Councilman Joe Jones?
Out and number 4, Barry Bennett.
All right. Is that all of the condolences? Seeing no other condolences, all rise for a moment of silence. Thank you. Congratulatory resolutions.
Resolutions of congratulations by Councilmember Griffin for Rosalie Bell Williams Thomas, by Councilmember Slife for Reverend Robert C. Ramser. Resolutions of recognition by Councilmember Griffin for the Arab American Bar Association of Ohio, by Councilmember Polensik for Michael F. Cavada.
First reading emergency ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 440, 2024, by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance to employ one or more consultants, computer software developers, or vendors, or one or more firms of consultants, computer software developers, or vendors necessary to implement various technology projects, services, and upgrades to existing systems under the 2024 ITS Capital Project Plan. Ordinance 441, 2024, by Council Members McCormack and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to exercise the second option to renew a contract with Paradis Air for the lease of city-owned space located in the terminal building at Burke Lakefront Airport. Ordinance 442, 2024, by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Directors of Public Works and Finance to enter into one or more contracts with Cleveland Metropolitan School District to conduct recreational, cultural, and extracurricular programs for the benefit of school children during the 2023 and 24 school years. Ordinance 443, 2024, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, determining the method of making the public improvement of constructing the Belvedere Avenue, Panna Lane, Mannering Avenue, Cortlandt Avenue, Victory Boulevard, West 50th Street, Longview Avenue, and Capitol Avenue areas sewer projects, including but not limited to installing manholes and catch basins, authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more public improvement contracts to construct the improvement, and authorizing the Director to employ one or more professional consultants necessary to design and implement the improvement.
Thank you. First reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 448, 2024, by Councilmember McCormack, authorizing the Director of Department of City Planning to enter into an agreement with Metro West Community Development Organization for the Stockyard Neighborhood Community Plan through the use of Ward 3 casino revenue funds.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Casey, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Hairston.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensik, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 15 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensik, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 15 yeas.
Thank you. First reading ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 446, 2024, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request to amend sections 535, 04, 05, and 06 of the codified ordinances relating to water rates, affordability programs, and fees and charges for water service. Ordinance 447, 2024, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request to amend sections 543, 02, and 03 of the codified ordinances relating to sewerage and service rates, fees, and charges.
First reading emergency resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution 444, 2024, by Councilmember Gray, objecting to a new C1 liquor permit at 13709 Barlett Avenue. Resolution 445, 2024, by Councilmember Harsh, withdrawing objection to a new C1 liquor permit at 4247 Fulton Road and repealing Resolution 1041, 2023, objecting to said permit.
Thank you. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Casey, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Hairston.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensik, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 15 yeas.
Call the roll on adoption.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House, Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 15 yeas.
Thank you. Second reading, emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 1337, 2023, as amended by Council Members Hairston and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of City Planning to enter into amendments to a contract with James Corner Field Operations to extend the contract for an additional year for additional services required by the city and to amend the name of the consultant from James Corner Field Operations to Field Operations. Ordinance 192, 2024, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more requirement contracts for the purchase of various sized PVC and FRE duct line materials for the Division of Cleveland Public Power Department of Public Utilities for a period of 2 years. Ordinance 229, 2024, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into an amendment to a contract with Bank Tech to remove the hardware support and maintenance services component for the payment scanners and payment processing systems for year 2 and to enter into contract with Imaging Business Machines for those services for the Division of Utilities Fiscal Control Department of Public Utilities for a period not to exceed 1 year. Ordinance 305, 2024, as amended by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Works to apply for and accept a grant from the Cleveland Guardians Charities for the baseball and softball summer youth program. Ordinance 307, 2024, by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more standard and requirement contracts for the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various on-road vehicles, apparatus, and off-road equipment, cabs, bodies, and accessories, equipment, and other aftermarket items necessary to equip the vehicles authorized for their intended purposes, including vehicle rehabilitation, training, and inspections as needed for the various divisions of city government. Ordinance 311, 2024, by Council Members Bishop, McCormack, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Directors of Public Works and/or Port Control, as appropriate, to enter into a license agreement with USS Cleveland Legacy Foundation or its designee to install and maintain the Lone Sailor Monument at the northwest corner of city-owned property in Voinovich Park and to make improvements to the area surrounding the monument for the initial term of 1 year and automatically renewing year to year for a period up to 25 years unless terminated by either party. Ordinance 312, 2024, by Council Members Casey, Griffin, and Polensek, determining the method of making the public improvement of repairing and upgrading the second high to first high regulator at the Nottingham Water Treatment Plant and authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvement. Ordinance 313, 2024, as amended by Council Members Santana, Bishop, Griffin, and Hairston by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity for Youth and Young Adults to employ one or more professional consultants to design and implement projects to support the transformation of recreation centers into trauma-informed neighborhood resource and recreation centers, to develop and provide programs and activities for youth and their families to serve as tools to prevent violence, develop skills and knowledge to overcome challenges associated with trauma and toxic stress, and to create opportunities for youth and their families to live quality lives for a period not to exceed a total term of 18 months, with one or more options to renew for additional total term not to exceed 18 months, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Ordinance 330, 2024, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more requirement contracts without competitive bidding with OPEX Corporation to provide proprietary hardware and software support and on-call maintenance for mail extractors, scanners, and ID Assist towers for the Division of Fiscal Control, Department of Public Utilities for a period of 2 years. Ordinance 411-2024 by Councilmembers Griffin and McCormack, authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into one or more contracts with the Near West Side Multi-Service Corporation, DBA May Dugan Center, to provide services to refugees in Cleveland. Ordinance 412-2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request to provide for the transfer and amendment to the general fund appropriations in the amount of $3,217,143.
Thank you. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Casey, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Hairston.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 15 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston,
Excuse me? Councilwoman House Jones and Councilman Polensek.
Yeah, please ask me as a sponsor on 313.
So noted.
Thank you. Councilman Polensek.
Please register me as a no vote on 313, 1337, and 412.
Duly noted.
I'm sorry,
would be-
313, 337.
412.
So noted.
Thank you. You have it, Madam Clerk.
See what they're doing. They're trying to beat Constance. They didn't come back and explain.
So I need to call the roll. Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormack, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. On Ordinance 313-2024, 12 yeas, 3 nays. On all others, 15 yeas. On 412-2024, 13 yeas, 2 nays. On 1337-2023, 13 yeas, 2 nays.
Okay.
All others, 15.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move to introductions, and just a couple of people who I've noticed is want to recognize Ryan Collins from First Energy, and welcome back our good friend who was here before and is joining us again, David Turner from First Energy. If both of them could please stand, please. Thank you. For some of the newer council members or some of the council members who have just came on this term, I would really encourage you to meet those guys because you know that some of our energy suppliers in a large portion of our area is handled by First Energy. And if you don't know Mr. Collins and you don't know Mr. Turner, you should make sure you introduce yourself and exchange the information. I also want to acknowledge, and I want to make sure I get this right, the chair of the Office of Professional Standards, Billy Sharp, if he could please stand. Police Review Board Chair. And I believe that's his team with him. If they could all stand, I don't think I've met them before, but this is the Office of Professional Standards, the Police Review Board. Thank you. Last but not least, I want to acknowledge my friend doing some great work with young people, and he also happens to belong to the best fraternity in the United States of America, my good friend and Q brother Bob Ivory, if he could please stand. Welcome, Bob. Thank you. Are there any other introductions? Any other introductions? Any other introductions? Councilman Joe Jones, are you running over to give an introduction? All right, hurry up so your vote can count, your introduction can count.
My introduction is Brenda Bickerstaff and Rhoda Cantrell.
Thank you. All right, and I know she comes every week, and I know she's here, but Rhoda Cantrell, longtime friend, and we were always good friends with her mother, and now she's taken up the activist just like her mother was. So we miss your mom, and we're happy to see you here as well, okay? Are there any announcements? Any announcements? Any announcements? Councilwoman House Jones.
Yes, there are 2 announcements. So the Cleveland Commission on Black Women and Girls will be meeting tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. 10:30 a.m. up in room 514. And then also, for those who don't know, this week is Reentry Week, the 2024 Reentry Week. Today kicked off with the Family Resource Fair at Magnet. Tomorrow will be a culinary quest for change at the Greater Cleveland Food Bank at 2 p.m. tomorrow. On Wednesday, April 24th. A Day in the Life, a True Life Sentence. That will be a community conversation at Urban Community School at 6:30 p.m. On Friday, there will be the Charles R. C. Forum at the City Club at 11 a.m. Also on Friday is a networking mixer at Edmonds 2. And then on Saturday, there is a Fresh Start Fair there at 1 p.m. at John F. Kennedy High School. So if you know those who are returning back to our community, this is an opportunity for people to be connected to various resources and be able to engage in a variety of ways. And so I would encourage Clevelanders to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Announcement, miscellaneous, okay. Any other announcements before I move to miscellaneous? I'll now move to miscellaneous. The first person I have is Councilman Kevin Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I just want to stand here at Rise Tonight to kind of express some of my feelings here. As I've been working in city government for a little while, I think everybody in this room knows how frustrating it can be, how slow things move around the city. I think there's a lot of folks want to change that, but yet it persists that lethargic pace that the city governments move. Sometimes I get frustrated with things that just won't happen so quickly. But the reason why I want to speak tonight is because I want to comment on a public servant who's actually moving very fast at a very fast pace. He just came on to the 4th District as the commander. I'm talking about Commander Valentino. And when I say he's working at lightning speed, he has made tremendous strides in the 4th District and in Ward 2. My residents are sometimes they are stunned at the amount of meetings that he's attended. He's attended meetings on Sundays in my ward. He has responded to our calls. Our office made calls to him. He responds before we can almost hang up the phone. He's responding to us. So I just want to commend whoever was responsible for bringing on and making the decision to bring on the commander of the 4th District, Valentino, and I just want to express my appreciation for him and his team, and I hope we continue to get this service, not just from him, but throughout the 4th District, and throughout the CPD. Thank you, Mr. President.
I concur, Councilman. He's been very responsive and very good to work with. Councilman Joseph Jones, and then I'll work my way to the north.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise to talk about Ralph Valentino. When he was sworn in, the next day he called me, and by the 3rd day he was in my office. And I explained to him, Mr. President, and to all those who are in hearing, that I had a problem with an illegal operation in my neighborhood where there was partying going on, and the commander before him missing in action. And every time I would call and talk about the issue, nowhere to be found. This man, by the time Wednesday came, he's sitting in my office. He done busted the operation on Friday, and they were so bold that they decided to open back up on that Saturday. Well, he came back on that Saturday and busted them and closed them down. And then by that Wednesday, it was boarded up. Now that's action. And then I called about something that's always been plaguing our neighborhood is pit bulls running loose in the neighborhood. Now, I know some of y'all probably got some pit bulls that have been running around. You call the police and you hope the dog warden to come and catch them. Well, we called about a pit bull running loose. And I went down to the neighbor's house when I found out that it was her pit bull and told her that she can't have a pit bull running loose and not have it tethered or someone with that pit bull in our neighborhood. She said it wasn't her dog, but she's just keeping it in the house and it had gotten loose. And she was a new neighbor, And I told her, I said, you have to keep him in the house. You have to keep him chained up. You can't have him running around. On day 2, I saw the dog running up and down the street again, loose. I called Commander Ralph Valentino. Ralph Valentino sent the dog warden out there, and they couldn't catch him, and they couldn't get in the house. The next day, the dog is loose and has chased a young lady up on top of a car and trying to attack the young lady on the car. I called Ralph Valentino. He was out there that night, knocked on that door and got that pit bull out that house and got him into the dog pound. And that's the kind of commander that I like, and that's the kind of commander that I'm accustomed to. And of the 6 years that I've been councilman in this city, he's the only one that reminds me of the great Commander Mike McGrath. And I'm appreciative to the administration and to the mayor for selecting him as our district commander. I want you to understand we want to keep him in the 4th District. We love what he's doing. And I know I also speak on behalf of my colleague, the distinguished Lady Gray. We are pleased with him, and we don't want him to go nowhere. And we can't wait until he has the permanent title of Commander of the 4th District. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Michael Polensek. Councilman Kevin Conwell.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, we met with the activists at 3 p.m. Saturday, and the pastors even sent an individual over there to sit back and listen. And you had Brenda Bickerstaff was there, Donna Brown was there, Laverne Gore Jones, and some of the other activists. We sat around from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and these people really truly care about the city of Cleveland. They care about what's going on here. And some people, when they snicker when Brenda Bickerstaff says she'll go down to Washington, she'll do that. And she's really, really, truly, truly care. I remember when I had the fatherhood group before your time, McCormick, before the mayor's time, and I would get these guys that they always had records because the police would rush to give African-American males records, and they couldn't take care of their families. And Brenda volunteered. She would volunteer and say, I got them, Kevin. I'll take care of them. I'll clean their records up so that they can get jobs and take care of their families. And she did it free of charge. Isn't that true? And she helped out a lot of people in the community because she cares about the community. This is not what she's doing against the mayor or anyone like that. She wanted to find out what's really going on and what's true. And you mentioned the Black Women and Girls meeting is meeting tomorrow. These sisters was in there when we met with Safety Director Drummond. They were talking about the mistreatment of African-American females. Isn't that true? They actually doing the work. They're putting the work in. And they really hated that this lady, civil rights was violated, Mrs. Sherrod. And that's action. That's activism work. She wasn't just walking around saying no truth, none of that kind of stuff. She actually want to make sure that this person is the right person. And that's okay. And that's her rights. The last time I checked, the residents, why? They are our bosses. And she is one of the residents that truly, truly care. So that's Nicola, man. She'll be there, and she'll be there for you also. And she have helped a lot of people get their records expunged and to get it cleaned up. So I want to thank her. And I've seen her in action as an activist. She's been an activist for a long, long time, and she truly, truly cares. And thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you. Councilman Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, Madam Clerk, Honorable Mayor, and members of the administration. I rise on a couple points. First of all, when we talk about thanks, we all know how important it is to thank people. And I wanted to thank Director Williams, and I want to thank Commissioner Pruitt for the help they provided over the weekend for a neighborhood cleanup that took place on Saturday. Our annual contest between the city of Cleveland, the Conway neighborhood, and the city of Euclid. So for providing the bags and the gloves and the pickers and the things that we needed. And I want to thank all the residents who turned out that day. And I know I was out there with them. It was cold, it was blustery, but we made our rounds. We picked up a lot of junk. And all of us who are out there keep asking ourselves, what kind of fools roll down their window and throw junk out the window? But we know we got them in the city of Cleveland. But the one thing I wanted to mention to the administration, the two sites that I'm appalled at are the Family Dollars and the Dollar General properties. Pigsties, absolute pigsties. And here are two major corporations. In fact, I read recently in a financial paper that Dollar General is one of the fastest growing chains in the country and one of the biggest. And yet, if you were to see the garbage in the litter, and you know what, we were going to go on their property, and we stopped on this is the one on Lakeshore Boulevard at 159th. We stopped, which is right across from the Collinwood Rec Center, and we said, you know what, we're not going on that frickin' property. Why should we in the neighborhood, why should I have a bunch of kids and elderly folks go on their property and clean up that mess where they could easily pay someone to cut the grass, trim the bushes, and clean up? So I want to say again to the administration, they got to get their butts kicked. These major corporations that disrespect our neighborhoods, and I don't care if it's CSX is another one, Family Dollar, Dollar General, they got to get hammered, and they got to get hammered good, and they have to understand that you can't do this. And on that note, I would ask through the law director that we need to look, and I'll let him and his folks look at it. What can we do to increase the fine and penalties for just that, for littering, for the litter, for the illegal dumping that we saw when we were out working? In 2024, I think all of us realize we got to draw the line in the sand. There are people who just disrespect our city, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. You know, I drive all over the city, and again, you go to every major freeway exit, and it's a pigsty. The windows go down, the crap goes out the windows. Then we have stores that are disrespectful. So, Mr. Chairman, again, I just want to thank again Public Works. We've got a wonderful director, good commissioner. I appreciate the help that they provided that day. But I'll tell you, going into the spring now and the summer, we got to kick some butt around here. I'm for kicking butt because I'm sick of it. And I would tell anyone in administration, go over and look at that Family Dollar. There's no suburb that would tolerate that. No suburb would tolerate that in their neighborhood. And I'm not going to tolerate it in Cleveland. Got two Family Dollars, two Dollar Generals. I expect I expect our health department to go over there and send a clear-cut message. We're done. Clean up your mess. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Totally agree. Once again, Councilwoman House Jones.
Thank you so much, Council President. So at the beginning of this month, I had an opportunity just to go on vacation with my family, and it was the first time that I actually did it. And so I want to encourage other people, if you have not taken any vacation with your family, to do it, to really do it. No, for real, just do it, right? Yeah, I mean, it really is helpful. And so the second week, I had an opportunity to go to Birmingham, Alabama as part of the Ashe Leaders Fellowship. And as part of that, we went to the Legacy Museum, which I'm still processing the things that I experienced. But for those who haven't been to the Legacy Museum, which basically talks about the experience of Africans that were enslaved currently to the Black experience in America. And when you first walk in, you kind of are in an immersive experience where you're in a place where it's like the waters. And it kind of shows a lot of information of Africans who were stolen and kidnapped, and it was just really, I would say, eerie, right? To go into this place just after a cruise, and it was like just something to be like, oh my gosh, you know. And again, it goes through the 12 million enslaved Africans, and it kind of goes through a history to present day of like 8 million people who are incarcerated. So again, there is so many interconnections to that. So then coming back home and starting back council this last Monday, we were in Health and Human Services and Arts committee, and we had the conversation around the no salt, cut the flavor, just dialogue that the chairman afforded of us. And, you know, we started just have some conversations around cultural norms, but sometimes cultural norms are forced upon people because of levels of disinvestment that have happened in our community. And I was reminded, and I told people about how when Cuyahoga County, I think it was back in 2012, when they talked about the health disparities. Hold on. The health disparities here in Cuyahoga County that says the average age of a person in health is 64 years old compared to someone in Lyndhurst that's 88 years old. And so you hear about that. That's a 24-year life expectancy. And then that Wednesday, to get a call that a beloved team member passed away in the morning on his way to work to serve our community, and he was 64 years old. Couple that with Saturday, I had the opportunity, I'm an alumni of the Neighborhood Leadership Development Program, and they offered a workshop to alumni based on being a leader in dealing with trauma. And I'm really here because for those who know me, I've really been struggling serving as councilwoman of Ward 7. And it really hit me on Saturday as to why I've been struggling. And so I am asking members of Cleveland City Council, as well as the mayor and the chiefs and the directors of the city of Cleveland, to ask for us to come together. There was a thing that came up that talked about trauma operating systems versus trauma-informed environments. And I want to share this with you all, right? So it said trauma-organized systems. We believe that organizations, including human service organizations, are like individuals, complex, adaptive living systems. Being alive, they are vulnerable to stress, particularly chronic and repetitive stress. Chronic stress steadily robs an organization of basic interpersonal safety and trust, and thereby robs an organization of health. Organizations, like individuals, can be traumatized, and the result of traumatic experience can be as devastating for organizations as it is for individuals. As a result, many human service delivery networks are functioning as trauma-organized systems. When you look furthermore of the traits of trauma-organized systems, chronic stress, increasing demands, limited resources, traumatized clients and community members, burnout, secondary trauma, absenteeism, low morale, poor decision-making, turnover, decrease in quality of care of services for clients and community residents, increased costs, recruitment, training, temporary services, increased workload for existing staff. That is the definition of what the city of Cleveland is. We are a trauma-organized system. We just passed legislation 313-2024 to talk about trauma-informed care in our neighborhood resource and recreation centers for our young people. But how in the world can we get this training to our recreation centers, but we ourselves have not experienced the training? How can we lead to get to a point of becoming a city that is trauma-informed? What does that look like? It is creating shared language based on trauma-informed, trauma-responsive, and healing center. Trauma-informed, basic knowledge of short and long-term impacts of trauma, adversity, toxic stress, raising awareness, and is a primary prevention. Trauma responsiveness, organize the environment around responding to traumas that already occurred, developing shared practices and policies. Healing-centered, trauma and well-being as a function of the environment where people live, work, and play. Strength-based, advancing a collective view of healing, and recenters culture as a central feature in well-being. This is my ask of my colleagues here in Cleveland City Council and the mayor and the chiefs and the directors. Cleveland is not a trauma-informed system. And me personally, I don't want to die in 20 years. I'm 44. I easily see myself being like my brother Clark Nelson, giving everything you can to a community, but our system not doing the work to transform what we see every single day. Before I came here, I stopped 2 places. I tried to make a stop, again, like I told you. Clark passed away, and then Saturday I got the call about Deja. That's Clark, that is the cousin of Brenton Nelson. Was a young lady who died falling down some stairs, which I also stopped a next street over on a house that was shot up. This stuff is not normal. We in the city have to get serious. We have to get over our individual differences, because however you feel about another individual, there are real consequences going on in our city. And we as leaders are failing them. We are failing them. And I am just asking, I don't want to ask nobody to do something that we're not willing to do ourselves. And so I am coming to ask that we prioritize in short order. Clear your calendars. The Center for Trauma and Adversity, they do this work right here in our own community. And I know that they will be willing to work with us so that we can begin to get this right. We must get this right, Council President, Mayor, and I am asking you to partner with me to get this done so that we can lead better for our city. Our people deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please excuse the absences.
By Councilmember Casey, that the absence of Council Members Moorer and Starr are hereby excused, seconded by Councilmember Hairston.
Thank you. This committee of council is adjourned to the next regular meeting of April the 29th. Thank you so much.